Right guys, and welcome back to part 16 of the VERKERK VOLVO build, and moving on to the servo here in step 25, and we're going to have to skip this part for now because the whole servo kit is it's a separate item to the kit, even the steering rod, the little ball joints and the ball cups. Now the screws, the nuts, the fittings and all the servo and the bump for the servo, that's not a problem whatsoever, because I've got God knows how many of these bags with all servo stuff lying around everywhere from previous servos, so I've got that bit covered. However, I am going to have to sort a steering on, so I'm going to have a look through my little tub of links and see if I ain't got a linkage bit. Once I've got the servo in and the axle on, then I'll know exactly how long that is. According to the manual here, it doesn't tell you exactly how long the steering rod actually is, so I'll only know that once it's all fitted. So yeah, it wasn't really until last night when I was going through some YouTube comments that a chap in there had commented, "Have you purchased the VERKERK servo kit, or are you putting your own servo in?" To which I replied, "I've got my own servo to go in it." And that's when he mentioned in regards to the whole thing being a kit, down to the rods, the links, everything. Now I thought, in all honesty, that would have come in the kit. Servos and stuff like that, no matter what kits you build, unless you're buying a ready to run kit, then usually you have to supply your own stuff anyway. But you do get the bloody link, the steering arm at least. It's a bit of metal and a couple of rods. They could have just provided that link in there. But then again, as I go through the stuff, I might find it in a parts bag, but it's just saying that's sold separately. Every item within there, it's within that red box. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to move on to step 26 and 27, 28, and basically them 3 steps. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the axles mounted to the front and the rear of this chassis. So I'm sorry about the servo bit for now, but I can cover that. Like I say, I've got everything to fit that. I've got nuts and bolts to bolt it in there. I've got the servo. It's a brand new servo. I pulled it out of one of my Axial riffs. I think that come out of an SCX10, and it's a high torque servo that come in those. So that's ideal for this job, because I never use those in the crawlers. I always swap them out and put a waterproof one in there. So I've got the servo part covered, like I say, except the rod part BM107, which funnily enough you do get a BM part bag in there, and if you look it goes 105, 106, skips 107 straight to 108, which tells me realistically I ain't going to come across it in the box. So not to worries, but I think you guys should know, if you're planning on purchasing one of these, either make sure you've got a bit of linkage, or just be prepared to get a bit of linkage, or just fork out and buy their servo kit. I'm not sure how much they retail at. I can always drop a link to that in here for you guys. But yeah, for now, that scared me to death then. But yeah, for now, we'll move on and do the axles. Right, so I'm going to continue now with these next 3 steps of the build, fitting the axles. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of parts out to this, and this is going to start making the chassis look a lot more complete once it's got them axles on there. So as I've been doing over the last few episodes, I'll go through some little bits with you, and the rest I'll just do up, and then I'll come back and show you how I've progressed. So I'm quite glad the servo hasn't gone in yet, so that can save me taking bits apart, because I've still forgot to put the motor wires on there, but that's not an issue. However, the next part that's going in is the front axle. So I do have a couple of little brackets which bracket on the inside and the outside, which will then take these arms here from the airbags, and that will support that up there, and then the airbag will sit somewhere within the chassis rail, somewhere around here ish. So I should just get away with still soldering there if I put like a piece of metal in behind. So that's no bother. So I'll still crack on with this part of the build. Something like so. So I've just basically bolted the airbag to the chassis there, and here I've just put a couple of brackets, one on the inside, one on the outside, of either side of the chassis. And that's also clamped that arm there right underneath, so that's clamped that between there. Now there's the little torsion bars, that's these here, and there's like a little lip that comes off the chassis rail there, so I'm just going to line the torsion bar over that, and same at the other side. And then there's this little piece here, SUF12, and with the pip at the bottom, that's just going to go through the torsion bar hole and the hole on the bottom of the chassis, and that'll hold the torsion bar in place. And I'm just going to secure that with a nut and bolt also, and repeat that on the other side. And then guys, that's 26 done, and then it's on to 27, which is literally just connecting the prop shaft. So not a lot. So there it is. I haven't fitted the servo, I'm just merely sussing it out, and yeah, it'd be easy enough to get at with some nuts and bolts at a later date. Might be a little bit fiddly, but then it'll just follow on with the rest of the build, I guess. So yeah, I am definitely going to leave that until I have got them soldered in. Yes, part 27. So with the chassis flipped over, literally just gonna bolt the half of the prop shaft, the other half, and the other half is already on the axle, and that's just gonna go onto there like so, and then be held into place with that tiny little grub screw. Don't forget to thread lock the grub screw before you put it in there, and that is all for that one. So keeping the axle upside down for this bit, that's how it's showing it in the manual, so I'm presuming it's just like the easiest way to go about it. Don't forget to join the prop shaft up first. But that is then going to bracket up to somewhere around there like so. Already using existing brackets and things that we've already put on in previous episodes. The only thing extra that we do need to add to the chassis at this stage is this, and I don't even think this goes to the chassis by the looks of it. I think it's going to be like an extra support which will go to the side of this, and then just lock that into place. So same principle as the front, using those. The rear axle went on much easier than the front axle. However, they're on there. and it's quite surprising how heavy it's becoming, considering it's mostly plastic. However, there is a lot more plastic to it than your normal Tamiya kit, so taking all that extra plastic into consideration, and it kind of makes up for all the extra metal that you would have in a Tamiya, I guess. But it's really looking superb. Details. Still the motor wires and servo to sort, but that's something and nothing at the moment. The one thing that I am unhappy about with this build in particular is the fact that they couldn't get the airbags done in time, because the truck is going to run absolutely solid now, and look, there's just no give in the suspension, there's no suspension travel, and same for that front airbag also. So that is a pretty big downside for how well the kit is and how well it looks so far, and all the details and everything else, that they could have just have enough time just to get that suspension so you can see it just flexing a bit. But I suppose to some years that might be an issue, but for me in particular, for where I run my trucks on level ground in most places. Like I'll run them at the Leyland meet, or there's the UK Nationals and things like that. I do have other trucks like my Rusty. I do build some trucks so I can go out and actually play with them. But yeah, like Leyland and things, they just run on a carpet anyway. So, and with the detailed, and it's actually the delicacy, I guess, as well with the truck. You don't really want to be running it outside. You only really want it indoors. So it's one of those. Yeah, I'm unhappy about it, but you know, at the end of the day, shit happens, doesn't it? But apart from that, guys, I mean, just look at it. The thing is awesome. Steering rod at the rear as well. Torsion bars. So in the next step, which we will be coming on to 29A, which is this. It looks like we're building up some tanks and things, and then moving down to the fifth wheel a little bit. So they're not the big tanks or anything, they're just like the little air tanks. And there's the fifth wheel coupling. Where do we go from there? Just filling in that chassis, filling in them tanks, making more tanks. So yeah, let the adventure continue. So I do hope you guys are like enjoying the build so far. It is a rather nice truck to build. Again, it is a fiddly truck to build, but it's an experience also, coming away from like your usual Tamiya trucks and things like that, to come into something so well detailed and something that I mean, with a Tamiya truck, once you've built one, you've kind of built them all, and once you've built so many of them, you can kind of do it with your eyes closed. But this, it's a real test, and it's great. It's a great experience. So we'll come back and we shall continue with that. not sure whether it's like this side or this side that it's going to be worked on. We know that we're doing the fifth wheel on the top there. I've now realised what these are. They're the cab latch mounts. So yeah, we'll come back, we'll finish some more of this in the next episode. But for now, thanks for watching, guys. Do feel free to like, leave me a comment, and yeah, do subscribe for more, and do hit that notification bell to stay notified. And I'll see you all in the next video. Ciao for now, guys.